Heinrich Müller, the most wanted Nazi official whose fate remains one of history's greatest mysteries. As chief of the Gestapo, Müller was one of the most powerful men in Nazi Germany. His office became synonymous with terror, interrogation, and the elimination of resistance. Born in 1900, this Bavarian police officer rose to become the architect of Nazi security apparatus. From joining the Nazis in 1933 to his final days in the Führerbunker, Müller was always at the center of power. His headquarters at Prince Albrechtstrasse 8 became the nerve center of Nazi terror. Unlike many Nazi leaders, Müller was known for his discretion and low-profile presence. Despite his importance, historians have struggled to find photographs of Müller after 1945. As Soviet forces closed in, Müller refused to abandon his post. The final days of the Third Reich were about to unfold. On May 1, 1945, Müller was last seen in the Führerbunker. While Hitler committed suicide, others attempted to escape the Soviet encirclement. Fegelein, Hitler's brother-in-law, was executed for attempting to flee. Müller avoided this fate. Müller vanished without a trace, becoming the most senior Nazi official whose fate is unknown. U.S. intelligence files state Müller's fate is inconclusive, but believe he died in Berlin. Theory 1. Müller escaped to South America like other Nazi fugitives. Argentina welcomed many Nazi officials under Perón's regime. Eichmann lived in Argentina for 15 years before capture in 1960. Theory 2. Müller escaped through the Middle East with false papers. Some Nazi officials obtained Syrian passports and disappeared. Could Müller have assumed a new identity as a Syrian citizen? Theory 3. Müller escaped by submarine to South America. German U-boats continued operating even after Germany's surrender. Müller had access to naval resources through his position in the SS. Soviet forces conducted extensive searches but never found Müller. Despite capturing many Nazi officials, Müller remained elusive. Müller's disappearance is particularly puzzling because of his importance, says historian Dr. Schmidt. Many Nazi officials were tried at Nuremberg, but Müller was never found. The rat lines helped thousands of Nazis escape justice. The Vatican allegedly helped Nazi fugitives escape to South America. This remote region became a haven for Nazi fugitives. Many Nazis obtained South American passports through intermediaries. The problem with Müller theories is the lack of concrete evidence. Three main theories: death in Berlin, escape to South America, or new identity. Müller's family claimed they had no information about his whereabouts. In the chaos of post-war Germany, many records were destroyed. Müller's personal files and Gestapo records vanished with the Third Reich. Müller was directly involved in Holocaust operations, explains Dr. Cohen. As Gestapo chief, Müller coordinated the deportation of millions. Müller's Gestapo was responsible for rounding up victims for these camps. During Müller's tenure, the Gestapo arrested millions of people. Müller personally approved the execution of many resistance members. If Müller survived, where could he have hidden for decades? Remote areas in Argentina and Brazil offered perfect hiding spots. Müller would have needed forged papers and connections. Creating good forgeries in 1945 was extremely difficult, notes Dr. Martinez. The chaotic post-war borders made escape possible. Millions of people were moving across Europe, providing perfect cover. Someone with Müller's resources and connections could easily disappear. Many Nazis found protection through industrial connections. If Müller survived, he would have lived under constant fear of discovery. Many fugitives lived in fear until their deaths. Müller's case represents the failure of post-war justice. Despite efforts to bring Nazi criminals to justice, Müller was never captured. Müller was one of our top targets, reveals former Mossad officer David Cohen. Eichmann's capture renewed interest in finding other Nazi fugitives. Eichmann's trial and execution sent shockwaves through fugitive communities. Bishop Hudal helped hundreds of Nazis escape to South America. Through Hudal's connections, Müller could have reached Argentina. Müller had access to Nazi treasure that could fund his escape. Müller knew where to find hidden Nazi assets. Müller could have used the remaining German submarine fleet. U-530 and U-977 made mysterious journeys after Germany's surrender. Perón's government protected German scientists and officials. Müller could have lived quietly in Buenos Aires under a new identity. We knew Müller was still out there, remembers survivor Rachel Weiss. Even the East German Stasi couldn't find Müller. Both sides searched for Müller during the Cold War. Müller could have been alive for over 80 years. Many fugitives lived to old age in hiding. Without remains, we can only speculate about Müller's fate. Death in Berlin, natural death in South America, or discovery in old age, Müller remains the most mysterious Nazi leader. The buildings where Müller worked are now museums. In 2024, Heinrich Müller is still officially listed as missing. Berlin has moved on, but Müller's story continues to fascinate. Death in Berlin, 30%. Escape to South America, 60%. New identity, 10%. Without new evidence, we may never know the truth. Heinrich Müller, the Gestapo chief who vanished, missing since May 1, 1945. The mystery continues. In the quiet corners of history, some names are etched in shadow. Hans Kammler, an SS general, oversaw the Third Reich's most secret projects. He was the vanished engineer, a man whose technical brilliance was matched only by his absolute devotion to the machinery of death and destruction. His blueprints weren't for progress, but for the systematic industrialization of murder, utilizing the most advanced engineering of the 1940s for heinous ends. To understand the technical nature of Nazi evil, one must look at Kammler's administrative efficiency in managing the construction of the concentration camps. As the war ended, Kammler vanished. But did his influence survive? Some suggest his engineering expertise was too valuable for the Allies to ignore. Rumors persisted of secret meetings where former high-ranking officials traded technical secrets for immunity, blending back into the fabric of post-war industry. Political scientists have long debated how the core of German engineering shifted, questioning if the masterminds of the old regime remained in power. The networks formed during the war years created complex industrial connections that some believe still resonate in the corporate structures of today. Decades later, the hunt for the truth continues within the dusty archives of intelligence agencies, where Kammler's file remains a tantalizing mystery. Modern analysts scrutinize every decrypted cable and witness statement, searching for any trace of the general's life after the fall of Berlin. Pinpointing his potential hiding spots takes us across the globe, from the mountains of Austria to the remote corners of South America. Despite our modern surveillance and global connectivity, the architect of mass murder remains one of history's most high-profile missing persons. Documentary filmmakers have spent lifetimes chasing shadows, interviewing the few remaining witnesses to the final chaotic days of May 1945. Was it suicide? An escape to South America? Or did he vanish into a new identity provided by a foreign power eager for his skills? New evidence occasionally surfaces. A diary entry, a misfiled report, keeping the investigation alive and the theories churning among researchers. The uniform of the vanished man represents a dark era that engineering efficiency helped build, leaving behind a void where justice should have been. The rat lines provided a path for many. Submarines and false passports paved the way for those fleeing the ruins of their own making. For survivors like Rachel Weiss, the legacy of Kammler's work is not a mystery, but a haunting memory of cold, industrial cruelty. The very tracks that led to the gates of Auschwitz were part of a logistical nightmare designed and managed by Kammler's technical offices, but his expertise also fueled the V-2 rocket program, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, a terrifying leap in military technology. Can you believe these rockets were built using slave labor? The conditions were absolutely horrific and lives were just costs, right? These tunnels are honestly terrifying and seriously super dark, right? Experts call it the evil of engineering, the use of specialized knowledge to maximize the efficiency of mass slaughter and terror. From the Atlantic Wall to the secret underground bunkers, Kammler's engineering projects spread across Europe like a dark web. Every line on his blueprints was a calculated decision, turning architectural skill into the ultimate tool for the final solution. The failure of post-war justice to capture Kammler remains a bitter pill, a symbol of the many who escaped the hangman's noose. Today, we remember the victims. The buildings that once housed the architects of terror now serve as reminders of what must never be forgotten. For the families of those lost, closure is elusive as long as the fate of the man responsible remains a historical footnote. Somewhere, in an unmarked grave or a remote forest, the truth about Hans Kammler's final moments lies buried in the earth. The Third Reich crumbled, its leaders fled or died, but the mystery of the engineer who built its dark heart remains unsolved. Hans Kammler, missing since May 1945. A ghost of the industrial age, a shadow that still haunts the history of technical innovation. While his body was never found, his dark legacy is written in the blood and steel of the 20th century. The truth may never be known,